Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On Time Sports Talk. I am the Remix Casey Schedule. My co-host is right over there, giving the peace sign, the original Eddie Schedule, and our second guest ever, Mr. Gary, the legend Rosenberg. I'm making up
Hey,
nicknames here,
1-star GOAT,
but
baby.
so we're very excited to have you. He is the one-star goat. Uh, so so Gary, you wanted to start the show off with a toast. I'm
Absolutely.
going to let you take that away. It is on you.
So,
Go ahead, my
I'd
friend.
like to definitely make a toast to all the veterans out there for Armed Forces weekend. This is Armed Forces Weekend Day. And then we got Memorial Day coming up to all those. Rest in peace, sacrificed, gave what they gave, ultimate sacrifice to this country. So, God bless America. God bless our, military. And all day, Casey, So, toast.
Cheers, baby.
Yes.
I would just like to say this is the second time we've done this, and I switched my drink. I went to Red Stag, which everyone knows is my favorite. So, all right, well, let's get into it. So, to kind of give the folks out there a little layout on what the plan is today, is we're going to talk some sports as we always do. But you got three Navy guys in the house right now. Two of us serve together. So we are going to share some of our favorite stories, some of our favorite stories from our time in. And that's going to be the second half. So definitely stick around for that because that shit is going to be hilarious. I'm just telling y'all out there. All right. So for the people who don't know, Gary is from New York. All right. Now you got to
I'm
remind me what
sorry.
borough. Well, yeah, he's gonna show the hat because he knows what's coming. All right, what Gary? What borough
From
are you
Long
from
Island,
again?
man. Strong Island, Levittown.
From Long Island. All right, so from Long Island, you just showed the Knicks. What the hell happened to your Knicks,
Bro,
man?
well,
Uh,
no,
oh,
we will talk about the Knicks, man. So, you know, I went out, I watched that game today, and, it's just too many injuries, man. OG, he's still hurt. Hart, still hurt. Brunson at the end of the day, I mean, we're not even going to talk about that yet, but let's talk about the first quarter. We lost the first quarter, just we couldn't keep up with Indiana. Just we couldn't do it.
Yeah, it. I
yeah.
mean, go ahead, pops.
No, yeah, I think it was injuries. But, Boston, of course, Boston's one that I picked to win the championship, even though, I'm rooting for the Mavericks to prove me wrong, like the Dallas Stars in hockey. But yeah, I think it was injuries. I think you just had too many injuries to critical players, and then the fact that Anaboy, how you say his name, Anaby,
Who OG?
Anobi.
Anaby, yeah, OG is he wasn't effective. A hamstring injury just does not. You may feel like you can play, but as soon as you start getting, if you've ever had that injury, the more you get going, the more it starts to kind of hurt you, and it just starts to slow you down. And it's a nagging thing. Anybody who's ever had a hamstring pull knows that it's just a nagging injury and it only comes to play when you really need your strength in your leg. And that's, I think that's it definitely hurt them. I think the fact that they took them all the way to game 7 was a credit to them, but I just think it was injuries definitely
Not only
played a
that,
key
we
role with
down
it.
like 5 starters. Made it to game 7 of
Yeah.
round 2, and even at the end of this game, Brunson, fractured his hand. Hart's out already, and on Hart, I'm gonna tell you, Hart's my favorite player. That dude, I mean, what he almost grabbed the most rebounds in the playoffs at 6'4". Really?
Yep.
All right, you kind of cut out. So those last couple lines, go ahead and you said Hart grabbed
Oh,
the most rebounds, and then
yeah. No, I was
just
just
go ahead
saying.
and
Yeah,
repeat
no,
what you said.
I was just saying he grabbed almost most rebounds. I think in the playoffs. This this whole round or this whole series period. That was it.
Yeah. So number one, I'm going to say there's there's certain teams in certain sports that it's just better when they're good for the sport, and the Knicks is one of those. You know, it's the Lakers, it's the Knicks, it's Boston. You know, these teams in basketball. Someone's got someone being loud in the background there,
Yeah.
but that's at Dad's house.
I didn't even hear it.
Oh, I see your mic just going up and down, and you're not even talking.
Who's making noise back there? I don't know who's making noise.
But anyways, so like in baseball, when the Yankees are good, when the Dodgers are good, in football, I'm not being biased here, but when the
Dodgers.
Cowboys are good, when the Packers are good, when the New York teams are good, um, it's just better for the sport. So to see the
Wait,
resurgence,
wait, wait, wait. When was the last time the New York teams were good?
Uh, oh,
I'm just asking for a friend.
Eli Manning, but we'll
all
get
right.
to the
Eli
Jets here in a
Manning's
little
not
bit.
that good,
But
bro. Let's calm that down. Let's calm that down.
no, he won 2 Super Bowls. But let's not distract from the direction I'm going here. Is it's sports are good when certain teams are good because a lot of people love to hate them. The only population of football fan there is more than the Dallas Cowboys is people who hate the Dallas Cowboys, right? So,
Yeah, I have one in my house.
yeah, so yeah, for some reason you
Bro,
married a
I live with
Texans
a
fan, but
Dolphins fan as a
you
Jets
know,
fan. FYI.
oh, I need to come to Florida and watch you two watch a game
Oh,
against each other. That
and
would be
she's a Heat
hilarious.
fan. It's not my fault.
So I'm not gonna like her. She's a Heat fan. So it's really been refreshing as a basketball guy to see the Knicks resurgence, and I have secretly rooted for him because of Jalen Brunson, because he was a Maverick, he was an underdog
You
story,
gotta let him
and
go.
to see him turn around and help. Yeah, I mean, we should have re-signed him. I think he was willing to resign for 4 years,
Oh
44
yeah,
million.
something low.
We effed
Oh,
that
big
up.
time, big time.
So, but
Hey, you weren't all in. You weren't all in.
oh my God, stop with the Jerry Jones already.
Hey,
Um,
the Knicks were
but
all in. We were all in.
yeah, the Cowboys are not all in, but we'll get to
No.
the Cowboys later. So it was really it's really been good to see the Knicks on the uptick. You know, they thought they were going that way with when Carmelo came to town. He never got it really going. And the Knicks have been in basketball purgatory
Yes.
forever. And so it's nice to see them back. So as a fleeting Knicks fan, I am
Not
happy
not
for
only
them.
that, but they're good without Randall and a bunch of starters. They're good with it's what they've been saying. The Villanova Knicks, and they've been good with OG.
Yeah, I think an interesting piece here is next season. Where and how does Julius Randle fit? Because it was Julius
Oh
Randle's team,
yes.
and now it is very clearly Jalen
So
Brunson's team.
as a Knicks fan, I'm gonna tell you this: I'm not a Randall fan. He has not made an appearance in the playoffs. One really since anything I've seen. So for me, I've always been on the idea of, hey, let's get rid of him, get a solid all-star, maybe star level power forward, that can do the dirty work, and let's run.
Yeah, I mean that'll be interesting. You know who Julius? I do like Julius Randle. I think from where he started in L.A. to the player he
Yeah,
became in
oh
New
yeah.
York uh, was a was a an incredible transformation. So if y'all want to trade, I'll take him in
For who?
Dallas
We
because
we already gave
we
y'all
we
like
on the
three or four
cusp.
players. We get your draft pick this year.
So we're gonna transition to Dallas because I know you mentioned the Mavericks when we were
Yeah.
pre-gaming here. We're back, fellas. That's all I'm gonna
Really?
say. We're
Because
back.
I'm going to say this. I think Minnesota is coming out the West, bro.
Well, they're playing right now, so we're gonna find out if they can even beat Denver. And I'll be honest, I would rather have Minnesota than
Really?
Denver. I do. I do. Jokic is a nightmare.
Yes, 100%.
Okay,
But
and
Ant-Man's a
Jokic is a nightmare.
beast.
Anthony Edwards is a superstar, megastar in the making.
Oh,
I
I'm
love
with you.
Anthony Edwards. Okay, but I would rather play Denver. I'm just being on. My prediction is Dallas, Denver in the Western Conference Finals, and Dallas losing in 6 to Denver. That was my prediction before the playoffs started. So
Yeah, well, I picked the Nuggets to win the Western Conference. So, like I said, I hope the Mavericks prove me wrong. So, I got a question for you, Casey, with the Eagle hat on there.
it's America.
I know you keep saying that, but it was too close to Philadelphia Eagles. I have a problem with it. If there's rumors about LeBron coming to the Mavericks, are you going to be able to root for your Mavericks? Because we all know how much you hate
Bro,
LeBron.
can't stand
Are you?
LeBron James. Can't stand that dude.
So you just directed that at
Yeah.
me, right? And so let me put it to you like this. If you watch my solo podcast, you would know I already answered this question. Thank you very much. Okay.
I listen to you talk every day, so.
Um, so absolutely not. Do not waste a draft pick, no matter high or low, on a prospect
No.
who is not NBA
No.
ready. Number one. Number two, what I said on my individual Mavericks podcast was if LeBron comes to Dallas and it's basically the same team that it is, do I think they'll win a championship? Yes, I do. Because LeBron at 39, what he did, I don't like LeBron. That is no secret that I don't like LeBron. It stems from
Will
high
you
school
root for him?
jealousy.
Will
No,
you root for him if
You
he's
have
wearing your
to.
jersey?
You
here's
have to.
the thing. I would root for the Mavericks, but I would be disappointed in this aspect. And I'm going to give credit to the sweet spot on the ticket in Dallas Fort Worth, because this is where I first heard this and it made me start thinking is ultimately I would not want that to happen, because it's not Luka won his first, it's LeBron won another one. That is the storyline if LeBron
Yeah,
came
but
to
is it really
Dallas.
LeBron won
Luka,
another one?
Well,
yeah, it would be. LeBron, despite his performance, he would be the story. Luka would not be the story, and Kyrie would
I
not
think
be the story, because Kyrie's already.
they probably wouldn't be able to keep Kyrie and LeBron on the same team because they're both
you
due
could
contracts, right?
send
No,
Luca to New York.
Kyrie just resigned
Yeah.
in your dreams. So to answer that, hell no, I do not want the Mavericks to draft Bronny, and hell no, I don't want LeBron on the
So
Dallas
Casey,
Mavericks.
can I ask you
Okay,
this though? What do you think of Bronny as a
you can.
prospect?
I think he needs at least 2 to 3. I think he needs a full college career.
100,
He's a 6'1"
yeah,
guard.
undersized.
He he's a switching problem in the NBA, and ultimately, I think he needs time for his shot to continue to develop to become a knockdown shooter. And his calling card when I was watching the NBA draft combine that's how nerdy
Oh,
I
I've
am
been
about
watching the same thing
basketball.
about Bronny just randomly.
Yeah. So one of the things they said is he's supposed to be a lockdown defender, or defense is supposed to be in his calling card, but he was getting taken advantage of by the prospects
Yes.
at the combine. So do I think he could be in the NBA one day? Potentially. The DNA is there. The potential is there. Right now, I know LeBron wants to play with Bronny. And I don't know how long LeBron actually still wants to
I
stay in
would
the
say
league.
3 more years minimum that dude can play.
I mean, at the age of 39, like I was trying to say earlier, was averaging
Oh,
26, 8, and
yeah.
7 or something. But that at 39 years old is ridiculous. I mean, he's still a top 10, top 15 player in the league without a doubt. But I do not want him to come to my team, because I want Luka. You know, my dad over here always say, "Oh, 4 championships to one" when it comes to Spurs Mavericks. That one that Dirk won was so special because it was
Yes.
Dirk, and plus they slayed the 3-headed dragon in Miami. So you can tell your significant other, I got 2011 still on my mind.
Hey,
So
don't feel bad.
all
I
right,
don't want LeBron in New
let's.
York either. So we good.
I got you. You do you want? Well, I would ask my dad about would he want him to San Antonio, but he's
Well,
no longer a
oh
Spurs fan.
really?
We're not
Because
gonna
I
get
was gonna
into
say
reason
I
why.
heard today randomly New York is gonna trade all three draft picks to the Spurs for the 8 pick.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, you know how those New York papers lie. So,
All right, let's stay on the subject of basketball. You know, we you
are
know,
you going to CC now?
I'm going to CC. All right. So obviously, the biggest storyline in the last 4 or 5 months in the world of basketball, not just men's basketball, not just women's basketball, is Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
And this is what I said on one of my very first videos about 5 weeks ago. Caitlin Clark is headed to basketball purgatory. The height of women's basketball popularity is in college. And I use Diana Taurasi as an example because I think she's one of the best WNBA players of all time. And she's been my favorite since I've watched women's basketball. The problem is when the Phoenix Mercury are on television, I don't go, oh, I want to see Diana Taurasi play today. I have to see this game like I do the Mavericks or a big NBA game or a big NFL game. The WNBA is going to get a temporary boost from Caitlin Clark, and that's about all it is. And I want to get y'all's opinion if you think her presence, before we get into her performance, does her presence in the long term mean that the WNBA will eventually be profitable and ultimately be way more popular at the
So
moment?
I'd like to
No.
say two things on that. I've been watching a lot of ESPN lately. The highlights, the only highlight I can remember right now off of what I've seen from Kitten performance is when she got hit by the screen. And
Oh,
yeah,
Brianna
I
Stewart,
mean, bro,
she got
bro,
blasted
bro,
on that
like
screen.
ridiculous. But we were,
She just
yeah, but
went,
me and my friends were randomly talking about this yesterday because we were talking about equality and pay and stuff. And we were just talking about, like, look, you can't talk about equality of pay when you don't have the attendance and just atmosphere that the NBA has. You just don't have the stars or mega stars that the NBA has. I mean, don't get me wrong. The WNBA is on an uptick with this draft, and they're getting better, but they're just not the NBA. They're just not.
I look at it. It's kind of like the what is it? The
Yeah, yeah.
UFO this year or whatever they're calling it. It's it can be fun at times, and then there's storylines. I think Caitlyn has brought this viewership up, but I was just looking at the stats. That it says last year 2023 was the most watched, but that's still an average of 505,000 viewers. If you compare that to even probably your worst hockey game out there, which is another sport that, there's only certain people who watch hockey, well, all of Canada, but
hey,
which they get a boost there. Yeah. But the thing is, I think it's great that they have an avenue for it, but it just doesn't have the same luster like college girls basketball does. And it doesn't matter how many stars they put out there. I just think it's one of those things that it's going to have a certain audience, and certain people are going to root for it. But the thing is, it's there's certain sports like soccer, the WNBA, the hockey's one of them. Hockey's a little bit better. It's just there are certain sports that they can continue to pump money into it and try to build it, but it's not as exciting as you go watch the NBA.
Right.
You know,
So,
it,
so kind of what I've already talked about this a little bit is on a different episode was, Caitlin Clark is going to provide that temporary boost because people want to see what she's going to do.
well, not if she
And
keeps getting knocked on her ass.
right, but so she's
10 turnovers a
I mean,
game
what,
so far,
50
or close
yeah,
points in
to
so
it.
3 games? I mean, that's not spectacular.
right, and I think her
Yeah.
high is
Yeah.
22. So she is in the college form the closest we've ever seen to Steph Curry in the women's game, I would say. And I think that's what people are wanting. But the issue you have is you have these record attendance right now. You have people buying tickets. The pressure for her to perform every single night against, women that are more experienced, talent only takes you so far until your skill and your experience level, the experience difference between the Mavericks and Thunder is why I think the Mavericks ultimately won that
Yeah. Yeah.
series
Thunder were too
because
young,
of how
bro.
young the
They
Thunder
just
were.
didn't have the experience.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so
Yep.
so Caitlin Clark in the NBA, she's kind of going through a learning curve. She has the talent. I just I really think there's so much pressure on her to be kind of the Steph Curry, Michael Jordan of women's basketball. And if you don't perform every single night, that casual, I want to see what's going to happen fan isn't going to, if they weren't impressed, they're not going to buy a
And
ticket next time
and you're talking
you're
about
in
as
town.
a rookie
And it's
day
going to
one.
drop.
Like, come on.
Right.
Like,
And
really?
so, and so,
And
I,
and it goes to the same thing it does when someone goes from college football to the NFL. The game
Yeah.
speeds
Oh,
up because in the thing is, even though it's WNBA, it's you're not up against, you're up against the best of the best throughout the college is what they've recruited into the WNBA. It's you're up against pros every night. You're not going to be against someone who is just made the roster or whatever. These are all pros, and it's just like in the football. You're up against pros. That's why you could lose any game on any given Sunday as far as football goes. It's the same thing
yeah,
as WNBA. You're playing pros at every position now. It
right.
isn't someone who could be a little bit slower because they're in a smaller college or, you know.
Yeah. So Gary, you talked about the pay
yeah.
issue, right? Or the
Yeah.
perceived pay issue, I'll say. The issue that and I talked about this as well before is number one, the percentages can't be the same and the contracts can't be the same. Yes, Caitlin Clark's value to the Indiana Fever is a lot more than they're paying her as the number one pick, and I understand that. But the WNBA is being subsidized by the NBA. The WNBA on its own has never been profitable. So if
No.
you want the same percentage that the men are getting from the NBA, well, you actually should be paid negative and have to pay back to your own franchise because you're not making any money. And the WNBA from year one has never made a profit. And so if you want to get technical about you get what you're worth and a business standalone type situation, the WNBA, if it was not subsidized by the NBA, would have folded years ago and it would have went bankrupt. And so and that's not me saying I want the WNBA to go away. As a basketball coach, the fundamentals in the WNBA are much better than the NBA. But the NBA, the athleticism, the play, the high flying, the best athletes in the world, because I think it takes more athleticism and more skill than any other sport, is just more aesthetically pleasing than the women's game. And I think that's the biggest challenge that the WNBA has to overcome.
Well, and I
I think
and
that
I think it's because as a society we're so used to big dunks, we're so used to all of those things that you see in the NBA. That true basketball, which is pretty much what the NBA is more of, or the WNBA, I should say. There's just it's the audience is so used to these, go down, take 3 or 4 steps or whatever, and not get called for traveling, and then do a spin up 360 and dunk it. And, that's what they want to see now.
LeBron don't
and
travel.
whereas yeah,
Only 10
Shizzled.
feet.
oh god,
Yeah.
yeah,
He was gathering the
Yeah,
basketball. I think
at
that's the
half
term.
court.
He was gathering. Yeah, James Harden can take 17 steps while gathering the basketball. All right, I
yeah.
want to get to this one real quick, just reactions, because then we're going to talk Cowboys Jets. Scotty Scheffler getting arrested at the PGA Championship. How ridiculous is that?
I think it's legit.
Pretty freaking ridiculous.
Like, if you look at what he did, like, bro, if I were to do that or anybody else on this panel, we would be in jail.
Does anyone think it's suspicious that the cop didn't have his camera turned on?
Th-
Well, of course it is. How many times does that happen with celebrities and everything? Oh, well, we don't have the body cam footage.
I'm going to be the devil's
You
advocate in
know,
this, though. I mean, look, the dude was driving on the median damn near, and why would you have your body cam on for that?
So supposedly Scotty Scheffler talked to a cop earlier,
Yep.
right? And he was in his marked vehicle. And even though the accident happened, players' vehicles and media was still being allowed
Except for his,
in,
apparently.
is what, yeah, except, well, his, and he gets stopped by the second cop who obviously, I just think there was a huge miscommunication.
Yes.
But what a all-star threesome that have police records now. You got Scotty Scheffler, Tiger Woods, John Daly. I mean, you got an all-star cast. Like if there was a scramble at the penitentiary, you know who's winning.
I'm taking Tiger.
All right. Let's talk about the Jets. Okay? One thing that you will learn about Gary Rosenberg, and he's about to change his hat with his fresh cut there, I see.
Oh, dude, I did this for you, baby. Look at that. I did that just for you.
I honestly expected like long hair with the
If you would have called me a year ago, I looked homeless.
Oh, okay. All right. So within the first 5 minutes of meeting Gary, you're gonna know he's Jets. He is Jets,
All
Jets,
day.
Jets, all the way through. And so obviously y'all season ended 4 seconds into
Bro, I
last
cried
season.
at the sports bar. Like my broken tear ducts actually teared up. It was crazy.
Oh man, that's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Dad, you got a few more years on me. Have you seen anything like all this off-season hype, and then he walks in and literally tears his ACL like 4 plays into the year?
well, it was not that long ago because of Brady. Brady had the same thing happen to him. Wasn't it the first game after they had won a Super Bowl or whatever that he got carted off?
Yeah, well, that's
Or
a dude hit his knee on the front and snapped his ACL.
yeah,
This is just
yeah.
Rodgers
Yeah.
just
But
comes back, plants, and pop.
yeah, I don't.
On Monday
You know,
football.
it's the only. Yeah, it just. You know, it was so disheartening for not just that fan base, but I think for a lot of us in the NFL it was because I feel for you guys as Jets. It's like I feel for the Buffalo Bills. 4 Super Bowls,
Oh,
lost every single one. Yeah,
yeah.
they lost 2 to us, but I've always said if the Bills get there, I root for the Bills because they they just have the worst luck in the world, and the Jets seem to be one of those too.
You
It's just
if
it's crazy.
you add the added hype of all gas, no brakes, okay, and the fact that they were getting or they were on what's the
Oh,
HBO
yeah.
Hard Knocks. The fact that they were on Hard Knocks, which I thought was one of the best Hard Knocks I've ever seen, honestly. And so you add all that into, and then 4 plays in the game,
But
or it just man, that was heartbreaking. I
it
didn't
was.
want to
But let
see
me
it
ask you this: the Jets did themselves one disservice. Have you ever seen a quarterback regress as much as Wilson? Yeah, Zach
either.
Wilson. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a quarterback regress that much. Well, I take that back. Carr, not Derek Carr, but his brother. David Carr.
David Carr.
David Carr
Yeah.
in
But when you get
Houston.
sacked
Right.
70
The only one who got sacked like a billion times, and the next year he was like, "Nope, I'm just gonna drop down." Like that. But Zach Wilson, like, come on, bro. Like, you can't do that.
All right. So let's put
Right.
last year to bed. All right. I went through the Jets, the Jets schedule. You know, we had the
6
NFL
primetime
schedule
games,
release.
FYI.
49ers in the first game.
On
49ers in
a
the
Monday
first
night
game.
again with the dude who tackled him when he got hurt. By the way, is now on the 49ers.
Are you
A little bit, maybe. But I will tell you this: we actually have a backup quarterback, so I'm not that worried.
So I went through the schedule, right? I have your Jets going 11-6. All right. I have them losing twice to the Dolphins. I have them losing to the Texans. I have them splitting with the Bills. All right. I feel like that'll split. I have them losing to the 49ers and the Seahawks. That's the six
I have them
them
one
losing.
more than you because I have them splitting with the Dolphins. So 12-5.
Okay. So
Yeah, see, I'm gonna say there's a chance that they sweep the Bills. They, a lot of people are not taking seriously Stephon Diggs leaving the
That is
Bills.
huge.
They're, when you know when they needed someone to make a play, he was there. With all the drama and all the crap that they tried to, to me, they overinflate that crap on the sideline anyway. But with all that stuff, he was still his go-to
But
guy.
see,
And so I just think a lot of people are overlooking how big a hole that is going to be
but the Bills
this
are a
year.
better
So
running
I
team
actually
than they
think
are a passing team.
they are, but I also think the Jets, like I said, with Aaron Rodgers in there, he's going to make them a much better offensive team. And I think the Jets already have a good defense. They had a good defense that kept them alive last year. Even with all the
The
struggles in
defense won a
offense,
bunch of games last year, really, for us. If you look at it, I
yeah.
mean, we wouldn't have won
Hell, y'all
most of
beat
the games
us.
if it wasn't for the
Y'all beat
defense.
us. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's. I think 11-6 is probably a good number for them as long as Roger stays
So
healthy.
where do we think they're
You
going to
know,
fall out in the
and
AFC?
say
Where do
that
we
again.
think they're going to fall out in the AFC East?
I think they're going to be a wild card.
I mean, if they're losing 2 to Miami, I
Yeah.
think Miami wins the East,
Yeah,
So
I,
you guys,
and I
so you
think
got
I
Miami
think
winning
they'll
the
probably
East?
Yeah,
yeah.
I think Miami's the one because they have a good passing and running game. They're a
You
balanced
don't
team,
think Tua
and
is
I
a
think with the
little bit suspect for them, or
I don't
I
know.
think
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think as long as Tua is healthy, once again it goes to the quarterback. If the quarterback is healthy, but then again you got a chain train, which I think he's going to be even better this year. Now that he's got a year under his belt, I think as long as you have a decent running game, and of course, anytime you got Tyreek Hill on your team, even though I don't know if y'all saw that video of that kid who put
Oh,
Tyreek Hill on his
he
butt.
oh, I didn't
just
see
dropped
that.
him. It's this
Yeah.
dude. It's like this little 10-year-old white kid who runs a route, and Tyree gets behind him, and he starts going left. He plants and goes back right. Tyree slides. He broke his ankles, and then the kid is
Really,
gone, and
The touchdown.
he doesn't catch him. And that child is a
I,
legend right now.
Yes,
I'll
he
say
is.
this about the Dolphins: they got the fastest team on turf. I mean, between Waddle, HN, obviously Tyreek. I mean, they're fast. So there's that. But my only worry for them would be is Tua can't deliver downfield. Not long, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely think it's when I look at the games, it's going to be Frisco, obviously. But I'm one, and I've always said this: you don't know what team you got until the third
Yeah.
week of
Oh,
the season.
100%.
Because some teams come out of the gate ready to go, and you're like, "Oh my God, they're going to go
Yep. Dallas
undefeated this
Cowboys.
year." And then the second week, yeah,
Oh,
I
well,
know,
You know
but
what? What a great segue right there by our guest. Okay. Let's talk
let's do
about the
it.
Cowboys. All right. Since I gave my prediction first, I'll do it again
so
because I
let's
ain't
get
scared.
all in. Let's
Oh,
get all in.
yeah, I knew it was coming. All right, Jerry. Jerry and Gary
That's
with me
right.
right now.
Right, here we go. Let's bring it on. We got, you ain't gonna believe it. I love Dak. Did I tell y'all I love Dak? I know we ain't signed him, but I love him.
You
He
over
is
there
my
having
man.
you
Yo,
over there
He is
having
phenomenal.
my
You
man.
got rid of your best
having
running back, and you got what you got.
right.
You know what? We got Zeke. Zeke is going to. Y'all don't understand. Me and Zeke, we got a thing going, right? Because he's promised me he's wearing that 15 number, so he's all in. He gonna get us
Oh,
15 touchdowns this year, and
are
we's
you willing
Oh
to
all
put
in,
money
shit.
on that?
all in.
He
I
has no
checked,
money.
and I thought we had money, but then Steven told me we ain't got no money, so I was all in, but then I was all broke. So I
All
didn't
right.
have anything.
All right, let's try to get some analysis here, Jerry. Is I have my prediction is I can't believe I went through the schedule. I think the hard games are early for the Cowboys based on their
They
schedule.
are. They
And
are.
for the fourth consecutive year, I have them going 12-5.
Whew. That's
12 and 5.
And
You
here's the
know,
5 losses. I'll give you the 5 losses. Lions, Ravens, split with the Eagles, Texans, and if I could read, or 49ers. Those are the 5 losses I had.
you think we're going to lose the 49ers again?
Yes, I do.
49ers
Okay.
are they're a
Yeah.
legit team.
See,
I'm going to throw that out there.
And I think Purdy's going to be
Oh
even
yeah,
better than he's been.
100%.
But I have him going 12-5. I mean, I think that's my optimism there. With Zeke and no running game really to speak of, um, I think to go 12-5 and be that successful again, Dak will have to play like the MVP. And he was in the running this year, so I think that has expanded. But I think the Cowboys go 12-5. I don't want to say anything about playoffs right now because I got to see how they're playing going into the playoffs before we get to that. But I say 12-5. I'll let you guys speak on it.
well,
Check on the name.
for me, it's you look at they have the Saints, Ravens, and Steelers. Or no, not the Steelers, but the Lions. Two you mentioned they're going to lose to. They're home games for us, for the Cowboys. I think that we have a chance to beat the Ravens. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not because of our offense. I think our defense is going to be considerably better this year because we now have a linebacker who's a veteran that's in that middle spot.
You love
I think,
Kendricks. I swear.
oh, yeah, I do love Kendricks. I think Kendricks is an underrated linebacker. He's fast, he's smart, and I think he knows Zimmer's system. The other thing is, I think with Detroit, it's the same thing. Golf is not consistent to me, and that's why he's never been. That's why he's not with the Rams anymore because he's not consistent. So I think this will be Golf's off year. I think that we can contain the Ravens. I agree with you. 12-5 is probably it, but I don't think we lose to the Ravens and the Lions at home. I think the hard game's going to be the 49ers, obviously. I also think the Falcons are going to be better this year. And then I think we are going to struggle to sweep Washington, and the reason we're going to struggle is because their coach knows our system a little bit, and so anytime you play a coach who's been in your system for the many years that Dan Quinn was. I think that's going to be a struggle. I think we actually split with the Commanders this year. I know a lot of people would say, no, you guys are going to bid. I think they're going to, if they can get their quarterback situation figured out, they have a very good defense. Their defensive line is scary. So,
well, it's not as scary as it was. They traded away Sweat and Chase Young. So,
which was dumb,
yeah, but
FYI.
it's still
That was the
that?
stupidest trades that Washington made. I
Yeah.
mean, when they traded that dude to the 49ers for like nothing, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't remember
It
what
wasn't
it
a lot.
was, but when I saw that trade, I was like, Dallas, why didn't you do that? Like they probably didn't want to trade with them.
I didn't have no money. How many times I got to say, I had no money. We was all in till I realized my pocketbook
You're
is
always
empty.
all in.
And
Always.
I got Zeke, though. We got Zeke.
Yeah, we got Zeke.
Here's what I'm going to tell you my take of the NFC East. NFC East, I feel like they're always fighting for who doesn't want to win first place. That's what I feel like watching the NFC East. However,
Every other year.
right. However, I will say this. I am a Dak fan. I do like Dak Prescott. I also love Tony Romo, who is my favorite commentator in the booth, FYI. So I do love some Tony Romo, and I like that. I think Dallas is going to, however, you also have the Bengals. I don't think they're going to beat the Bengals. I think the Bengals are pretty good. So I got them slightly under what you got them at, Casey. But 1 or 2 games. But it doesn't matter what they do in the regular season. They always lay an egg in the playoffs. That's the problem.
I tend to agree. That's why I said I don't want to talk about the playoffs because it's irrelevant right now.
Are we talking about practice?
So, but I think ultimately, the Cowboys will be judged on their playoff performance. I'm my Eddie has been very specific on saying he doesn't think the Cowboys are done in the running back
I think
room.
they're done. I think getting rid of Pollard was a mistake. I mean, even if you want to bring Zeke in, they should have kept Pollard.
Well, I don't know about Pollard, but they should have restructured contracts so they could have went out after. And you know who? And it's not Saquon that I wanted them to go get. The back that I actually thought fit the best for the team was actually Josh Jacobs from the Raiders. I thought he was actually the best fit for the Cowboys. But it's one of those things. It's going to be interesting to see. Also with not much in the receiver. Who's the number? I mean, it's Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee's a dude. He's a top 5 receiver in the league.
He'd be a best receiver.
But see, they're going to have to pay him this year. What are they going to do?
Well, they got to pay Dak. They got to pay Micah. And they got to pay.
They can't pay them all.
We're trying to be all in, but you see, I got lots of money. I got to pay.
All right, we're going to leave the Cowboys because I can't take any more Jerry. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. We're going to move on from the Cowboys.